I want to share with you guys 2 books that radically changed my life. I literally went from an underpaid, overworked chef working 80 hours a week and only making $50,000 a year to earning over $10 million my first year in business. And I can't emphasize enough how significant of an impact these 2 books had on that transformative experience. For those of you that don't already know me, I'm Jonathan, and most notably known for doing $10 million with my first ever dropshipping store in my very first year. But I went on to create multiple 8-figure businesses after that as well. And my favorite stat that I like to tell people is that my students over the last few years have generated over $100 million in sales using my dropshipping strategies. Now let's talk books. As you can see behind me, I have quite the collection. I've read pretty much every self-help entrepreneur style book that there is, Atomic Habits, 12 Rules for Life. It goes on and on. I've read a ton of these books, pretty much everything that's up here. In fact, my wife and I spend an hour every single morning reading together, which is like the best part of my day. I absolutely love doing it, and we learn so much together. And so we're just breezing through tons of books and having a blast doing it. But none of them come close as far as like life impact goes as these 2 books that I'm going to share with you today. The first book is called First Things First. It's by Stephen Covey. It is actually by the same guy that wrote the book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Okay. And one of those habits is first things first. All right. But he wrote an entire book on this one habit just because it's so significant, so powerful. I'm sure you guys can relate, but when I was working my 9 to 5, which was really actually a 5 to 9, I had this inescapable sick feeling, like nauseous feeling in my gut that just never went away. And really what that is, and I'm sure you already know this, is that it's a sign that your life is out of alignment with your purpose, out of alignment with your destiny, that you're basically on the wrong path and you're spending time on the wrong things. You're probably working extremely hard and feel like you're making no progress. This is extremely common. This is exactly what I went through. And you just know deep down in your gut that something's not right. The most common response to that feeling is just to work harder, to try to be more efficient, to develop the right habits, to read self-help books, to get inspired, watch motivational videos. And ultimately, these things don't solve the problem. You might get more done, but that feeling doesn't go away. And that sick feeling doesn't go away. And the reason for that is discussed in this book, in the chapter called The Clock and the Compass. And I'm actually going to read an excerpt from this chapter for you guys because I think it's so important to understand the difference between the clock and the compass. And this will help explain, I think, a little bit better what I'm talking about. So I'm going to read this to you guys. Our struggle to put first things first can be characterized by the contrast between 2 powerful tools that direct us, the clock and the compass. The clock represents our commitments, appointments, schedules, goals, activities, what we do with and how we manage our time. The compass represents our vision, our values, principles, mission, conscience, and direction, what we feel is important and how we lead our lives. The struggle comes when we sense a gap between this clock and this compass. That sick feeling is because there's a gap between your clock and your compass, when what we do doesn't contribute to what is most important in our lives. For some of us, the pain of the gap is intense, as it was for me. We can't seem to walk our talk. We feel trapped, controlled by other people or situations. We're always responding to crises. We're constantly caught up in the thick of things and putting out fires and never making time to do what we know would make the difference. We feel as though our lives are being lived for us. For others of us, the pain is a vague discomfort. We just can't get what we feel we should do, what we want to do, and what we actually do altogether. We're caught in dilemmas. We feel so guilty over what we're not doing that we can't enjoy what we do. It goes on and on like this, but it's extremely powerful. And beyond the depth of just understanding these concepts, he actually has some really powerful tools to address this problem. Charts and graphs and schedules and things that can help you find alignment. They can help you put the first things in your life first. Okay, so extremely powerful book. I was actually still working as a chef full-time when I read this book. In fact, it was given to me by my boss, the general manager. And after reading this book, my efficiency, my ability to run the restaurant, because that's what the head chef essentially does. They are the backbone of the entire operation. And my ability to run that job with 30 employees under me, it exploded. I leveled up so fast that I knew that position wasn't enough for me, enough of a challenge. I got bored. I got so good at it that I got bored. And ultimately, that's part of what led to the next chapter in my life. And so my boss doesn't realize this, but giving me that book is part of the reason why I ended up quitting. Book number 2, probably heard of this one, The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. It's a fairly short read and very enjoyable. It's nonfiction. It's a story. It's a hero's story. And I think stories are super important for us. Nothing speaks to the soul quite like a story does. This book was given to me by a friend, which I've come to believe to be a divinely orchestrated event, because it was almost immediately after reading this that I put in my notice at my job and started my entrepreneurial journey. I think I can summarize this book in really just one quote by the author himself. It's the possibility of having a dream come true that makes life interesting. This book speaks to the heart, to the soul. It will ignite a fire inside of you and give you courage to follow your path and help you deal with the fear that you might have with taking those first steps. You'll learn to trust the process. You'll learn to more than trust the process. You'll learn to enjoy it. And I think it would be an absolute shame if you guys went your whole life without ever reading this book. Now, while both these books serve to help you find alignment with your purpose, as in putting the first things in your life first, right? Like prioritizing what is truly important to you, the most important things, and then giving you the courage to actually pursue that. They do this in different ways. And The Alchemist really, because it's a story, such a powerful story, it's the one that will ignite your heart and your spirit and give you that courage to take those steps. And First Things First is the book that's going to give you the tools to be the most effective version of yourself, the best version of yourself throughout that process. While you're on that journey, you're going to make far more progress towards your dreams with the tools that are contained in the pages of that book. I really do hope that you guys read these books. They did change my life, but I'm also super interested in hearing what books have had a significant impact on your lives. So go ahead and leave some suggestions in the comments, and there's a very good chance that you'll see your suggestions on the shelf behind me in a future video. Thank you guys. If you appreciated this, drop a like and a comment. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the yard.